All right. Hi, everybody. How are y'all doing today? So, I think this is the fifth or sixth time I've tried to make this video. I have 5 animals. I said this in my last video. One of my dogs, Lulu, she's 18 years old. She's a min pin. She's blind, mostly blind. She can hear a little better than she can see. And when she wants something, when she decides she needs something, well, she gets her way. Yeah, when you're really old like that, she can be quite demanding. Anyway, so I'm trying again, and hopefully I'll get through this whole video. And that is my dog Peanut playing with his toy, his squeaky toy. But that's okay. Huh, Peanut? Yeah. Anyway, so today I was going to talk about energy healing. So try to make this video not last too long. But as I have said before, I do energy healing. I've been doing it since 1991. My first energy healing teacher was it's a form of healing called Marielle. Ethel Lombardi was the person who taught it. She was the second Reiki master in the U.S. So back then, when you learned Reiki, it took several years to become a Reiki master, and you paid $10,000 to become a Reiki master. So she was one of those people, so very dedicated to doing energy healing. And I guess what her story is that and I learned it from her. She was, what did she do? She had been doing, I think, Reiki for a couple of years, and these beings came to her. They looked like monks from what she said. They had brown robes on, and they told her to do this instead. So she was my teacher. She was my first introduction into energy healing. And Marielle is very dynamic. It's you're pulling stuff out. And so I learned how to pull stuff out. Pull energy blocks and things out with your hands. It's pretty amazing. It works. It's great for moving stuff that's held in the body, like emotional, mental energy blocks that are held in the body that could be creating disease. And essentially, the energy healing is moving energy. But with this method, though, I learned how to pull stuff out. Now, when I became a Reiki master in 2001, it was very different. So this is like you're pulling stuff out. Reiki is, if you don't know, it's like you put your hands. It's a form of hands-on healing. You do this, and of course you're channeling universal energy, because you always connect to higher source, universal energy. Call it whatever you want, and you do this for about a minute, and then you move for about a minute, and you can feel stuff and you get stuff. I am a Reiki master. I'm not making fun of Reiki. It's just, it was so different that it really surprised me. It really surprised me. And I think that Marielle wasn't popular because back then, I think it was so dynamic when people released stuff that it actually scared some people, because stuff came out. So very powerful. In fact, to me, it's more powerful than Reiki. That's just me. And there's not a lot of people who do it these days. I still do it. It's pretty cool stuff. Anyway, after that, after doing Reiki, and then I worked with Richard Bartlett. And Richard Bartlett, Matrix Energetics, working with him, and I think I did about 6 different workshops. And then I did another form of stuff that he does called holosets. Holosyncratic Technologies, holosets for short. Again, pretty amazing working with him. And I did all 4 levels with him. What you're doing is, the way he works is you work in the field. So I think he's one of the first teachers that really got into working with the field, 2-pointing, all this really cool stuff where you work with what is in the field, and stuff kind of just disappears when you work with this stuff. Anyway, so he broke all the rules about what energy healing was for me. That broke all the rules and broke them down. And so I learned how to, after that, just follow, like connect in and follow your guidance and work from there. And that doesn't mean I don't do techniques, because I definitely do techniques, but it's a much more of a flow, being connected to information, being connected to the field, and being connected to those higher beings who give you information and move stuff from that point. So it's more dynamic and less like, and then we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this. And so what a typical session for me looks like is I start by, I start by talking to the person and telling them what a session looks like. Sort of like what I'm doing here. So they sit, we talk for a while. I find out what issues they may want to work on, or what direction they want the session to go in. Some people say, I'm just open and I'll just let's see what happens, and that's fine. It usually works better if you have an intention. Just because there's a direction to go, because it's a big field. What do you know? So so they lay down on a massage table. I turn down the lights. I work better in a darker environment because I can see more. It has to do with how much we depend on our eyesight and our logical mind. When we can see, when it's a normal environment, we tend to use our left brain more and trust information from what we see more than other information that's coming in. So that's why I kind of work in a darkened room, but it's not pitch black. It's ambient lighting. So I start by calling in all my guides and teachers, source. I connect to source. I connect into angels, guides, beings, higher beings, my 11th dimensional beings that I work with. I also work with some guides. I call them the golden guys, golden guys, because they're part of my team. Ascended masters, all those things that you've heard about that people in this stuff talk about. And then, so I connect, I call in my higher self, and so I call in my team, that's my team, and then I call in their team, which is their higher self, their guides and teachers. And then I put my hands on top of their head. I'm sitting behind them, I put my hands on top of their head, and I start looking in there, scanning all the bodies, the physical, mental, emotional, the soul body. And the soul body is where you can get a lot of information, especially about past lives. And then I look at the chakras. I also look at, and I ask to see their spirit body, and then I ask to see their connection with the higher self, to see how consciously connected they are to this part of themselves. Because we are always connected to our higher self. That you cannot be connected, cannot not be connected to your higher self. Because that's part of who you are, it's your greater self. But how consciously connected are you with that? And look at that. And there's a gamut of, some people are just barely, and some people are like, whoa, they're really connected in. It's pretty amazing. So, and then I ask, where do I start? And I usually start pulling stuff out, going from the top of the head, crown chakra, down to the root chakra. Kind of do, and if any information comes up, could be wounds, what needs to be healed, could be some past life stuff, all of this stuff I start seeing. And as I see things, or hear things, or I give information, and also a loved one might show up to help too. A loved one who's on the other side might show up to help. That happens quite often, so that's pretty cool. And give messages or whatever. Or they're there to help. I mean, you just never know what they're doing there. And sometimes they're there just to, like, they want to pop in and say hi, but I can't pay a lot of attention to them because we're doing something else. But it's cool when it happens. After I do that, I usually do a timeline. And it's sort of like the unwinding technique that I talk about in my last video. And so I started at their age and go backward in time and see what's there, and see what needs to be removed, see what jumps out. going back all the way through, moving stuff. I sometimes do a timeline reset, which is where you go back before a trauma happened and you pull. It's a technique that you use where you pull the emotional, mental trauma out of the cells, there's an energetic imprint around trauma, so you pull that out, go back before that time so that the emotional impact, the charge of the impact of trauma is pulled out. So that's pretty cool. So I do that, going back into birth to see if anything, birthing process, to see if anything needs to be removed, because that's a traumatic process quite often. And then I go back into the womb to see what's going on there, because a lot of times there's stuff there. I did a session on a woman once who, before she was born, while she was in the womb, her parents received the news from their doctor that the baby was going to have some sort of, I can't remember if it was an illness or there's some physical impairment that was really, really bad. And so the whole time, from that point on, through being carried in the womb, the parents were terrified that there was going to be something wrong with this child. Well, there was nothing wrong with her, but she was born with that imprint. So that's going to be in her imprint. So actually, and she didn't tell me this, I picked it up that something was going on when she was in the womb, that they thought there was something really, really wrong with her. And so we moved that imprint out, so that, because that informs your life. It's at a subconscious level, but it informs your life. So you can pull stuff like that out, and that can be in the womb. You can also see back to, sometimes I see when the fetus attaches, I keep saying that, when the spirit attaches to the fetus, you can feel what kind of energy they actually brought into this lifetime, like what kind of energy as far as like, yes, man, I'm ready to do this. This is very exciting. Or like, oh my God, do I really want to come here? Because I got a lot of stuff I got to work out. Or so there can be some reluctance, there can be a lot of energy or like a lot of strength, like, yes, I know I have to do this, and I'm going to get in there and I'm going to do this. And even though I brought this old stuff that needs to be healed with me, you can feel these things when you look at that, and you can even go back to conception to see what kind of energy that person was conceived with, because there is an energy imprint there, and it can be filled with love and beauty and joy, or it can be trauma also. So you can look at that, and you can start moving that imprint out so that it is not interfering with their life, because that goes into subconscious level. Anyway, so, and then I can also go back usually to your decision to come here. So I have Prelife memory of being in that place where you talk to, I call them the High Council, where you're deciding what you're going to do in this lifetime, what you bring with you as far as what needs to be healed, what you bring with you that are talents and gifts, and also life purpose, so you can go there and see what's there. Now, when I had my experience doing this, I actually I believe this is what I picked up from that experience. I was meditating, and then I was just in this other place, and I was in the place where we make that decision to come here. And I was talking to my guides. I believe my parents, my mother was pregnant already, and I was hovering around the body around these people, trying to see what to do, what they're like, what's going on here. And what I didn't like these people. Sorry, Mom and Dad. I have deeper understanding now. So what I saw them, I saw their energetic fields, I saw what was going on. I was back there in the place where we decide where we make these decisions, and I'm talking to this guy, and I'm like, I don't think I want to do this. And they're like, no, you really need to do this. We decided, blah, this kind of thing. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't like those people. And it was a man, and he looked very wise, and I saw the place. It was absolutely beautiful. A city. I think it was a city. I don't know what they call it there. But crystalline, selenite looking buildings off in the distance, absolutely beautiful. Everything is like goldeny with tones of other colors and white, just beautiful. Great experience. Anyway, so after that experience, I've gotten a lot more information about the family and the dynamic and all this stuff. But I came in as a reluctant human. As a friend once said, I am the reluctant human. I wasn't sure I wanted to come here, but I'm okay with it now. Yeah. Anyway, so back to energy healing. So I can go back to that place because I've been there, and I asked the person's counsel to show up, and I talked to him, and then after we get like the information about what you're doing here, what you brought with you, what needs to be healed, purpose, that stuff. And then I say, well, show me their past lives show me past lives that is going to help them, show them some patterns or whatever that will help bring healing in this lifetime, healing and understanding in this lifetime. And we do that. And then usually, and that's towards the end of the session, and usually there's also the last messages. If I got something that they need to know somewhere in the middle of the session, sometimes they say don't tell them till the end of the session. I'll do that, giving them information. Sometimes I get future stuff. Sometimes there are messages from loved ones that come in. It's pretty open-ended, so it's not necessarily like the lineup that I just said, but a lot of times it does happen like that. It's pretty cool. And usually people feel very, very different at the end of the session. Anyway, that's it. Let's see, is there anything that I want to share besides that? I think that's it. I have a cat coming in here. Anyway, one of the animals, one of the 5. I think that's it. If you have any questions or comments, you can certainly leave a question on the comments. I'd be happy to answer it. And that's it. My name is Lorena Quigley. I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona. I also do remote sessions. In fact, sometimes remote sessions can be more dynamic than the actual physical sessions. I do like physical sessions, like people being in physical reality here with me. I like those better. But sometimes remote healing is quite remarkable, and because the person and their personality is less in the way, if that makes sense. Anyway, I think that's it now. I had to say something extra. Anyway, have a great day. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.